So we're still on for meeting after? Okay,
Welcome, everybody. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Welcome to the Sedro Woolley Rotary Club, the best Rotary Club in the universe. Today's invocation is going to be by Daryl Skiles.
Our Father in heaven, we bow before thee this day with appreciation for the blessings that thou so graciously bestows upon us. We're grateful for the opportunity of gathering together as Rotarians and guests, and pray that we might gain from our experience being here. Thankful for food, and pray that thou will bless it to our bodies for strength. We ask a special blessing upon our political leaders, that their hearts will be softened and that there will be a desire to work together and to do those things that will be beneficial to our country. We again express our appreciation and do so in the name of thy Son. Amen.
Please join me in the flag salute.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Four-way test.
Is it true? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And will it be beneficial to all concerned?
And David, I believe you got today's song.
Well, I'm going to pass the microphone to our guest, who's a former member of the Total Experience Gospel Choir. Hey, Whitney, she's going to lead us in singing God Bless America.
Wonderful.
And she knows how to sing this.
Well, yeah, he did tell me about 10 minutes ago. So everybody should know the words to this, right? Because I'm most time. Like, okay. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the lights from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans, white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Who's my sergeant in arms today?
It's right here.
Do we have any visiting Rotarians? I know we got a couple.
President Mike, I'd like to introduce a couple of these unique Rotarians. We've got our assistant district governor, Daryl Hooper. Daryl, welcome. And then we've got Maureen Pease from the Retirement Club. Welcome, Daryl and Maureen.
Do we have any other guests or Rotarians? Carl?
Once again, I have a guest.
Tomas Benzik, he works with me in my office. I think he likes it around here. He may come
Any other guests? Mark?
You know, when a son asks his father to come to Rotary and doesn't show up and be with his father at Rotary, it doesn't look real good. So Travis Heisman invited his dad. This is Gary Heisman.
Welcome, Gary, and please note we will make your son pay. Any other guests? Okay, let's move on to club business. At this time, I'd like to call our Assistant District Governor, Daryl Hooper, up here, because he has a presentation of sorts. Daryl?
Well, thank you, Mike. Just have a quick announcement to make. I've been assistant governor for the last 2.5 years for Area I, and my term is ending at the end of this Rotary year. So we always bring in another assistant governor. And the incoming assistant governor is from the Sedro Woolley Club. Pleased to announce. This individual has lived here in Skagit County since 1994. Been a member of your club since 1997. Past president, active in the community. They'll be attending PETS at the end of this month.
along with Mike, and the other president-elects of the area, making sure that they can hold their classes. They don't stay out too late at night. That was partying. Get ready to pass. You know what I'm talking about. Especially the one for the last one. It's quite important. But it is, I'm really pleased, and it's our pleasure to let you know that it's Becky Elding.
Thanks, Daryl, and congratulations, Becky. At this time, I'd like to call Marty Peace up here from the Lacana Rotary Club. She's got it's not a presentation, but she wants to talk about the YES program, Youth Engaged in Service.
So I'm a little bit embarrassed because the student at your club is sponsoring, which I thank very much for. And a friend, we're supposed to be here today to sell raffle tickets to earn money to go to Honduras. But we have 10 kids this year in the YES program, Youth Engaged in Service. Last month we put on a dinner at the Brick, which is a homeless kitchen in Anacortes. We've been meeting on a monthly basis. This weekend they're all heading to Yale. And then in June we head down to Honduras. So thank you very much for supporting Hannah Ray, and thank you.
Thanks, Marty. And if you have a chance to buy one of those raffle tickets, make sure you do. I was hoping Stephanie would be here to give us an update on her father, but I can give you a short update. Talked to Stephanie on, I guess it was last night. Her father had knee replacement surgery on Tuesday. And according to Stephanie, he's not a model patient. Big surprise there. Not real compliant on pain management, but he's hanging in there and he's doing okay. And he hopes to be back next week. We shall see. Quick announcements. Board meeting that was supposed to be next Tuesday, the 11th, has been rescheduled to the following week, the 18th. Janicki's building over here on Ferry Street, 5:30. Of course, all board members are expected to be there, but if you want to come see what it's all about, please feel free to welcome. Sheena, do you want to talk about what's going on next Tuesday?
Yes, I do. We're going to do some bowling at the bowling alley here in Sedro at 10 p.m. We're going to, well, I just said bowling on Tuesday. I'm going to send out an email to see kind of a head count, if people can reply to that or text or email. And then it would be nice to know if you find out ordering dinner. They're still a little bit shy on staff, and so if we have the opportunity to give our heads up on what we might be ordering, we might actually get, food before we left and everything. So I will send out an email. So hoping to see you all there, whether you're going to bowl or not.
Thank you, Sheena. At this time, I'd like to call Ms. Gary Carlton up here, who has a presentation. Gary?
Hello, it's a pleasure of mine to be up here presenting a very special, beautiful young lady to present before you today, who has earned her American FFA degree award. Amanda Todd lives in Anacortes. She attended Anacortes High School. She graduated 2 years ago. And she was a member of our FFA chapter for 6 years. And then since then has earned this award, which is one of the highest awards. So I'm going to read a description of what this really entailed, because it's a very huge celebration for us as an FFA chapter, and also for the Todd family. As the highest degree achievable in the National FFA organization, the American FFA degree shows an FFA member's dedication to his or her chapter and state FFA association. It demonstrates the effort FFA members apply towards their supervised agricultural experience and the outstanding leadership abilities and community involvement they exhibited throughout their FFA career. American FFA degree recipients show promise for the future and have gone above and beyond to achieve excellence. And the degree certificate states, Amanda L. Topp of Sedro Woolley FFA chapter in Washington was awarded the American FFA degree at the 92nd National FFA Convention and Expo in recognition of outstanding achievement in agricultural leadership and career preparation, given in Indianapolis, Indiana, the 2nd day of November 2019. I was fortunate that I actually received an email from one of our Rotary members, Tim Holland, and then when I followed up with Mike Janicki, he was thrilled. So I think he's going to be really upset that he wasn't here to see this. And then also I want to give recognition to our FFA advisors at the high school who help promote this incredible opportunity for our students. And I also want to thank the partnership of our agricultural business leaders in our Skagit community, including her father and mother who are here with us today. So at this time, I'm going to stop talking because she's the main show. So I'm going to have her share who's with her here today, what her project was, and then her future plans.
First, I want to do a quick apology. I just had a concussion a couple weeks ago, so I'm still kind of recovering for it, so I might be looking down a little too much at my notes on my phone. But I have my father, Tom Topp, here, my mother, Darcy, and then my cousin, Lily. So the American FFA degree is a huge deal. Both my parents received theirs, aunts, cousins, uncles. There's a lot that goes into it. My projects that I have roughly 14 cows, I have about 8 pigs, and about 12 sheep that I take care of. All while going to school, which my school is down south. I'm currently attending Pima Medical Institute in Renton and doing the vet tech program there. So it's keeping me very busy going between school, work, and caring for all the animals on the farm. But to get the American FFA degree, there's a few requirements that you have to have. You have to have your state degree. You have to have graduated high school 12 months prior to receiving your to the national convention where you will receive your degree. You have to earn at least $10,000 or invest $7,500 or invest at least $2,000 in and work a certain amount of hours within your projects. You also have to be 3+ years active in your chapter at the state level for FFA, and you have to operate and participate within your supervised agriculture experience and maintain a certain amount of records. That includes with having your FFA advisor come over monthly, which Mr. Ramsey and Mrs. Ware both came over multiple times during the months to check up on my projects, make sure I was keeping all my records correct, and just helping me stay on track with that. I really appreciate all that my advisors have done. If it weren't for Mrs. Ware and Mr. Ramsey, I wouldn't be in FFA. I wouldn't have had the opportunities that I've had because going to school in Anacortes, we don't have an FFA program. And if I wanted to join an FFA program, I would have had to move schools. And Sedro Woolley gave me the opportunity to come over and take FFA classes, and I didn't have to take a physical class at the school. We just had, like I said, Mr. Ramsey and Mrs. Ware come over monthly and check on the projects and stuff. But it's, like I said, there's a lot that goes into this. It's more than just record keeping, it's learning skills, it's having certain opportunities that are going to stick with you the rest of your life, ones that will better you as a person. I will forever be grateful for the National FFA organization, for the Sedro Woolley School District, for my family, my friends, and my advisors. I'll be thankful for the opportunities they provided me with and the life that they've helped me build for myself. Thank you. Oh, yes. Yeah, like I said, I'm going to school down south to be a vet tech, so I'm still kind of staying in that ag field to be able to work with animals. Thank you so much.
Congratulations, Amanda. That's a huge accomplishment and something you should be very, very proud of, as your family is, I'm sure, also. A couple other things going on. I believe Nick Van Jarsveld has an announcement. microphone.
I've gotten an email from a bunch of you about the fire sign on Saturday at my house. Last chance to go to Costco today to get some stuff, so if you plan on coming, let me know, so I have enough for everybody. Saturday, 6-ish.
6-ish at Nick's house. Please join him if you can. Please let him know, like today. Rich Ryder has an announcement also.
We are getting started on the auction, you've already heard, and this year we got this wonderful board that Bruce Bergman got printed up, so it's not making my sloppy work. And we'll be back, and so everyone next week bring you $20 or $40 or $60 or how many ever chances you want for the cruise to either Mexico or the Caribbean. So show up, like get it sold out even before the auction and make our job easier. Thanks.
There we go. Thanks, Rich.
And after that meeting, if you want to buy a square today, get off on the list.
Are there any other announcements? Okay, seeing none. One final one. Leave the tables and chairs up. There's an auction here Saturday night. They said just leave everything where it's at, so cleanup is easy today. I believe it's time to spin that wheel there, Phil.
Look at your table, you got this blue picture sheet here. This is a promotional thing that Mark Nilsson made up, and it has pictures of some of our premier services to the community, and then the name on the back. In going around soliciting certificates for last year's auction, I found out there's a surprising number of people that don't really know anything about those, like half. And there's another 30% that know the name of the club that don't know what we do. So I'm trying to come up with something that we can hand out to people when we're asking for donations, when you're trying to introduce the club to a person that doesn't know anything about it. Here's a sheet you can give them some information. And there's going to be other items we can use it for too. And eventually we'll come up with things to write on the back of the form, you know, the one for a new member, the one for looking for a donation, etc. But to try to get our club better known and get people thinking, well, we need to come to our auctions and make donations to those auctions. So that's one of our efforts. Don't throw those away. Cost them a buck a piece or something, so keep them around. This leave on the table if you don't want it, and I'll take it all later. So a couple of things. One, the date of our auction is May 1st. That's like 80-some days away from now, and we want to start getting in things. Like, how many of you have donation slips right now? If you don't have one, and there's going to be available. We also need to get the money to the club. No, it's not very bad.
Hey, Ken, can you hold the microphone a little closer to your mouth? We're having a hard time hearing you. There you go.
Some of us forget our duties to Rotary. Like when I came in and Phil reminded me that I was sergeant of arms today. That's $5 to leave. Did you buy a raffle ticket today? If not, pay $1.
Hey, Dean, do you want to help pick up? And maybe Jeff and
Just start really getting ready for the auction. It's a big deal. It's our major fundraiser, and we need to try to raise money for that. And this Sergeant at Arms is a raffle. That's how we do that. That's how we secure the club money. That does look better.
Brock, there seems to be something coming up next week on the 11th. What was that?
Well, you should all have already received your ballots in the mail, so you need to submit those by February 11th, which is next Tuesday, and it's the Sedro Woolley School District capital levy, which is $2.5 million per year for 6 years, about 65 cents or so per thousand on your property, so that it's completely dedicated for capital improvements throughout the school district, like fixing a $2 million boiler over the high school that's 50 years old and operating at about 40% capacity, so efficiency. So how many people have turned in their ballots already? That's pretty good. Is that enough?
If you haven't turned in your ballot, that's a bug. Remember, is it the truth? Okay, and that's it for us.
You got happy dollars.
Oh, happy dollars. Hands up.
I know, I'm happy about something. I have 10 happy dollars. I'm not happy about that stupid wheel, but I am happy because on Sunday, the Chiefs beat the 49ers, and I won $550 on a Super Bowl pool.
Woo!
Many of you know or don't know that every year I do a quilt auction tea for the pregnancy center in Mount Vernon. And this year we raised over $11,000 in one day, so that's very good. And I'm up to $16,000 on my stair climb thing, but don't worry, there's still time for you guys to donate. Still going, goal's 28,000, so happy.
Good morning. Are you going to bring the food in and try to collect money in one of our meetings here for people?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna bring
Okay, perfect.
The booth has some happy bucks for Amanda. Congratulations, Amanda. I don't know how many fairs I went to over the last 2 years, but you were there with your swine and your cows and everything else. Happy there. And I'm happy that we had 2 great co-chairs for the levy campaign this year with Brock and Tim. So thank you very much for doing that.
I have a happy 20 for Miss Amanda. We're so proud of you. Congratulations, excited for your future. And I'm going to do a sad story because that's what I'm going to do, because I'm going to ask you to talk to every single person you can about the importance of this upcoming election on February 11th. Our C building, the woodshop class, had no heat for a week. Roof leaking. Unless this levy passes, our students they're freezing. They're cold. And so please, it's so important. Talk to every single person you know. I'm asking you, I'm pleading you. I saw a young girl yesterday and I said, oh, you're wearing, a cute little skirt. She goes, yeah, I have all my classes in the A building to this day, because tomorrow I have to be bundled up because I'm in the C building. Like, it's real. We have a water main break right now. We have fire safety helping us out because the water main is broke, and so our sprinkler system is not operational. Right? So these are real issues that we're facing every single day, and our school district is so good about doing whatever they can financially to support us, to make sure our programs are strong, that we have the best teachers on staff. And so I just want to put that emotional plug in for you. And then the second thing is I want to thank our EMS and fire and police. On Tuesday, we had a huge scare on our campus, and we had a teacher who did pass out, was unresponsive, no pulse. We have a code blue team set up at the high school, trained teachers, CPR, first aid, AED response. And that quick, swift action of our students contacting 911, contacting the office, and our code blue team literally saved his life. And he's at Skagit Valley Hospital and is stable. So our paramedic and EMS and fire and police, we are so grateful because they were there within 3 minutes of the call. So thank you so much.
I know this mechanical engineer really well that has looked at the high school, and it's a mess. He was asked 15 years ago to look at it, and it was leaking, and it was a problem. And so I'm with you. Yeah. I know really well. His name's Carl. A couple of things. One is looking at the things we've done, and I know we've done a lot more and they're not all on here, but one thing that you may not be aware of, the new members, because we never really talked about it very much, but in the mid-80s, our club was responsible for building the Cup powerhouse at the high school and installing equipment there for football players and all people in school. But anyway, I just thought it might be important for new members to understand that that was another kindergarten activity that we completed here at the club. Secondly, I'm proud of this one. My middle daughter, who also happens to be a Rotarian, was just recently elected to be the Washington State Youth Leader Association president. Great achievement.
So a happy 5 bucks. I just want to note that yesterday would have been my dad's 95th birthday. He loved this club. He was an active member, past president, and I'm looking forward to selecting the 38th recipient of the George Seabrook Jr. Excellence Award at Seabrook High School. It's one of my special days, spending time in his office, which is now Mrs. Carlson's office, looking over the great Rotary scholarship winners, and his legacy is pretty cool. So I'm very, very, very happy to remember that.
So yesterday, I and our Public Works Director, Mike Freiberger, along with our councilman, Carl Young, now in Olympia, and of course, you know, like everybody else, only 150,000 other cities, we're all begging for the money. But one thing that I found very impressive as we moved from the House to the Senate, from a Democrat's office to a Republican's office, is that Keith's name kept coming up. So I think, you know, we have a great senator down there. We've got somebody who's working really well. We've got somebody who is really doing, I think, is very fast for not only our county but also for our state. And so I just want to applaud Keith because he really does work hard. It was great to visit with him, and it's makes me even more proud when you're talking about somebody that comes from your own city and somebody that comes from. So he's doing a great job. I just want to say thank you.
Okay, thanks, Tim. And again, I just want to reiterate many, many thanks to Brock and Tim for stepping up and leading this levy battle here. My wife was the levy co-chair for a number of years, and I can tell you the number of hours that you guys are putting in is pretty significant. So thank you, guys. It's time for early leavers. And I'd like to call Mr. David Brook up here to introduce today's speaker and program. Yeah.
All right, I'm really happy to welcome Faye Whitney to our club. You've already heard her sing. She has spent the last 33 years in the 911 industry. The last 21 as supervisor and project coordinator for Skagit 911. In addition, she's been involved in educating the public in about the 911 and the countywide emergency notification, which is what she's going to talk about today. As you heard already, she's a very, very talented musician, past member of the Total Experience Gospel Choir. I had the opportunity of singing with Faye in the Skagit Valley Chorale for many years. She's a dear friend, and we're birthday twins.
We are.
How cool is that? So I'm going to be passing around some cards as Faye comes up, and welcome Faye Whitney to our club.
Okay, well, good afternoon, Rotarians. First of all, thank you very much for having me here today. It's always a pleasure. I've visited your club a couple times in the past as well. As David mentioned, I've been with 911. I started out at the Sheriff's Office in 1987 and was a dispatcher for them for 12 years before we consolidated the 911 Center in 1998. And I spent 20 years as a floor supervisor / dispatcher / whatever came along with it. But the past year I've spent as a project coordinator for an EMS transition that we're currently undergoing. But I also spent a number of years as a public education coordinator, and I've stepped out of that role, but I've kept my hand in our emergency notification system, which is called Code Red. Now, if those of you who've been around a while and have heard me speak before, you may have heard me speak about AlertSense in years past. That was previously the system that we used, but we moved to Code Red a couple years ago. And it's a very robust system. They are the oldest in the industry. They basically invented the reverse 911 concept. Now, are those of you here, who's familiar with what basically reverse 911 is? Okay, handful of you. When we hear, for example, of emergency notifications going out in areas of, say, California, for wildfires, they need to very quickly notify the public that they need to evacuate or whatever the instructions are. The way to do that very quickly and efficiently and without putting responders at risk is to use an emergency notification system. And what we can do with that is we go back out and we grab all the 911 data that's there. We can, send an alert out to everybody that is in the 911 database. Now, who's in the 911 database? Anyone that still has a home phone or a business phone? How many of you here don't have one of those anymore? Okay, there's a few hands. I haven't had a home phone in probably 7 years. And I think there's a lot of people like me. Our struggle has been in getting the word out to those people that even if they have a home phone, you're not sitting there all the time. So you may not get a phone call if we send out an alert, or you may not receive a message in time. The most efficient way for us to do it is to actually be able to send it out to the citizens on their cell phones. We do it via text, phone call, and email, whatever message type you want to receive. But the benefit is that we do have a much greater chance of reaching everybody that needs to receive the message that there is some threat to their physical or personal safety or their well-being. And it could be anything from a boiled water alert from the water company, PUD, to that you need to evacuate because there is a fire. I was telling David one example of when we used it was the Cascade Mall shooter. Horrible event. But there was a fear at one point during the hours that passed after the incident was reported that the suspect had run underneath the new pathway that goes from one side of the freeway to the other over to the area actually where my boss lives, over on the west side of I-5. So what they did is they actually used the system, at that time it was still AlertSense, but they used the system to send out a message to the entire neighborhood, which they can do. We can do it geographically. We can pinpoint, make the message a block wide, 5 blocks wide, 10 miles wide, whatever the case needs to be. And they sent a message out to that entire neighborhood warning them, stay inside, lock your doors and windows, do not come out until we send you an all clear. That's our way of very quickly notifying the public when something like this happens. Another example I like to use are our refineries. Honestly, we have hazardous materials everywhere we go. They're on our streets, they're in our homes, they're on the railways. Refineries are a big ticket item, so to speak. So I speak a lot of times when I'm in clubs in Anacortes about if there was a gaseous release and we needed to tell people to, say, for example, close their doors and windows and put towels around them to keep the bad stuff from getting in. Again, we don't want to put responders in harm's way, but also sending responders door to door is incredibly slow. It takes hours and hours to notify any large area. We can make 10,000 phone calls in the first minute with this system. We can literally notify everybody in just a couple minutes, and we can see the results of those alerts. We can see how many answering machines were received, how many voicemails were left, how many text messages went out. So, as I said, our big struggle has been the text messages or the cell phones, reaching people on those. Because your cell phones are not registered unless you register them. It has to be something you do because they're yours and they are not attached to any specific address. You all know, you probably have friends that have area codes from all over the country. That's because of what's called portability. It was something the FCC did many years ago. But it means that literally you can take your phone with you when you move from one region to another. So no longer are we just seeing 360 area codes in our area. We see them from all over the place. So since your cell phones are not attached to your address, if we send out an alert based on a geographic area, if you have not voluntarily signed up, you won't get it. Or you'll only get it if you're sitting at home waiting for it. So it's a big deal to us. 90% of our calls come in via cell phones anymore. And so we're trying to get the word out. I've been trying to get the word out for a number of years that we really need people to sign up for this. It is free. There are a couple different ways to sign up, but it is free. We do not give away, sell your information, anything like that. We treat it just like any other 911 data that we get. Now, we automatically get home and business numbers. Even if you have something like Comcast or VoIP carrier, we still automatically get that stuff. But the cell phones are what we're after. And so I did a quick check when I got here today. David was kind enough to loan me his laptop. And I pulled up the city of Sedro Woolley in our code red system. And I did a check of all the phones here in the city. It showed about a little over 5,000. Showed 5,051 contacts, 5,041 phones. Out of that, there was 188 cell phones. That's less than 1%, practically. I mean, I'm not doing the math real fast here, but it's a very, very small amount out of everybody here in the city. And so I am here to ask you, as a public, as a service organization, to help me get the word out. David passed around cards, and these are actually our old card. I have to apologize. We're in the process of getting new ones made. And for anybody that actually does like to scan QR codes, because there's one on the back of the card, if you scan it, if you don't already have the Code Red app and you scan it, it's going to warn you, ooh, don't go here. It could be dangerous. It's not. It's just the old code. We're having new ones made, and we're having them made with double-sided. One side will be English, the other side will be Spanish. Because we now have an 18% Spanish population in our county. And we need to reach them as well. So there's a couple ways to sign up. We recommend highly that you do both. If you carry a smartphone, we really like to see people get the Code Red app. And it's just simply Code Red Mobile Alert. The really nice thing about having the app on your phone is it goes with you. If you travel to another part of the United States or even into Canada, if it's being served by Code Red, which is very widely used across the country, you'll get those alerts too. Maybe you're driving through Kansas and you want to know if there's any tornadoes ahead. You can find out. Or if you're actually getting close to an area, it will tell you. And you can send an alert, or you can set it to go as far as 25 miles out from your device. So you can use it here locally for your home. But we also encourage people to sign up with their actual physical address as well, because that is where we will send those geographic based messages like I told you. We're not going to send a message out to half the county if half the county's not affected. We don't want people to get tired of receiving messages. We don't send out a lot of messages because, again, we don't want people to, cry wolf, ignore it, don't pay attention to it. But we do really encourage you to sign up for both. Our website has a link to the Code Red app. And again, your information is protected. We aren't going to do anything bad with it. We won't give it away to other people or any other entity, as a matter of fact. State law actually prohibits us from doing so. So, That's what I'm here about. I'm here to ask any help that you can provide in getting the word out to people. I'm happy to provide materials. Again, we're getting new cards made. But I'm also happy to go to any group, any event, any time, and talk to people about this, because it's very important. If we cannot reach you, we can't alert you. And we can't warn you about something that may impact the safety of you and your family. So that is my spiel. So again, I appreciate your time. I was just going to say, if anybody has any questions, please feel free to ask. And you, sir?
Well, I just signed up, so it took
Perfect.
less than the amount of time it
Doesn't take much, yeah.
But I was traveling, you're a 911 person,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I was traveling on I-5 northbound last night, and this car in front of me did a complete 360 on the highway.
Oh.
He hydroplaned across some water ponding right south of the Kincaid exit. I was curious if you have had any wrecks in that location. He was so lucky. He did a complete 360, ended up pointing in the right direction, and just kept going.
Oh my gosh. He's very fortunate. Somebody was looking out for him last night. I can tell you with certainty we've had incidents in that area. We have had incidents on I-5 quite a bit, particularly because, you know, as you all know, anybody that's traveled the freeway, it narrows from 3 to 2 lanes just south of town and stays that way through Washington County. And so, you know, when you get events like that, sometimes you can't avoid those areas where there's a lot of water or it's not visible. So it doesn't surprise me that he spun out. We get a lot of accidents on the freeway, and when we do, we get a lot of phone calls.
But it was really particularly concerning because of ponding water on the freeway needs to be fixed. And I don't know, the highway, you know, I would hope the highway department.
If we know of it, what we would do, and I can tell you, frankly, what we would do, we would call State Patrol because they have the responsibility of the freeway and Highway 20 and State Route 11 in our
So
county.
I called in and they directed me to there. And they said, yeah, we have had complaints or other calls on that. But, I mean, I was surprised there wasn't a multi-car pileup.
Yeah.
Even after that guy, because the water doesn't go away when it's raining like that. So.
No, I know. I hit a big puddle on 9 just north of Clear Lake on my way here. And I don't remember seeing a water over roadway sign as I went north. There was one going south. And I went, well, that would have been nice on the other side. But yeah, it was all of a sudden there was water flying from the vehicles in front of me. So I agree. It's a horrible situation. And of course, we see it when we've had all this wonderful sunny weather that we've been having. So, but yeah, I mean, we do get accidents on the freeway all the time. And most of the time, we handle it as far as any EMS or fire agency responses. We dispatch those. The law response on the freeway would initially go to State Patrol. So we quickly transfer the call to them. Yes, sir.
So obviously there's probably not any way to avoid it, but it's like, has this company ever been, are stories about how to avoid causing a panic? Like if you guys send out a thing saying armed shooter X location, hunker down, I just wonder like if there's like training that has gone into figure out how to word that, or you know, because I think it's an awesome idea. I think I even have it on my phone actually already, or something from one of your previous. I just, you know, people have such a visceral knee-jerk reaction to scary news. I'm just wondering how you mitigate that.
Well, the goal that we're trying to do is to get the appropriate information out and to convey it in a manner that's going to make people react accordingly or react appropriately. So take the necessary measures as we're advising them to do. I understand the concern about, we're going to be fairly generic with the type of messages we send out, but if there's specific directions involved, we will be very specific. For example, like, you know, there's tsunami warning sirens in the west part of the county. There are particular plans in effect for, you know, when we've all seen the signs this way in case of a tsunami. So we might be providing information such as that as well. To a degree, though, unfortunately, we can't help that some people will react adversely to those types of messages. But we try not to send really inflammatory stuff out that's going to really freak them out, as I think that's your concern, is that people may really panic in that event. And if it does, I can almost guarantee you, though, if they panic, they're calling us. They're calling 911. Because they'll be saying, what am I supposed to do? How do I get out of here? So, yes.
So I receive Amber Alerts on my cell phone, and I didn't knowingly sign up for those. How is that different to what we're doing?
And Amber Alerts are actually managed by the Washington State Patrol. And we actually have a way of sending out something similar. Those are just automatically blasted over the cell towers. And so it will go to you whether you have signed up for it or not. We have something we have access to and can send out what we call an iPause message. Does anybody or everybody here remember the incident in Hawaii a couple of years ago when they warned of the missile coming in? That was an iPause alert. It went to everybody within range of a cell tower. It wasn't the system's fault, it was an operator's fault that thought it was, real when it wasn't. Well, we can send out the same type of messages. Those are, it's a cooperation between the FCC and the cellular phone companies. They came to an agreement with the FCC that if one of those messages is sent out by an entity that's approved for sending them, they will basically blast it over every cell tower in the particular area where it's directed. Whoops, sorry about that. So we might send out an iPause alert, but it's only for, say, for example, Skagit County or maybe even part of the county. In which case it'll only go out over certain cell towers, but it doesn't matter if you've signed up for those. Now, the downside of that is we're very limited into what we can use an iPause alert for. It has to be for there's a very strict guideline as to what kind of events you can utilize that system for. And it's limited to 90 characters. They've spoken about doubling that, but they haven't yet. So 90 characters, when you're typing out a message, is not a lot, and we can't send a second one. So we have some limitations with that system, but the benefit is we won't miss anybody. If they're within range of a cell tower, they will get the message. But that is, you don't get to opt in, you just will receive it, and that's how the Amber Alerts work.
So you could send it out like when the bridge went down?
Yeah, but that probably would not be an iPause, but that would be something that we would use our alert system for, yes. Maybe, for example, to tell people, this bridge is out, find other ways down, to create, we were very fortunate when that happened that we didn't have really heavy traffic at the time. But yes, that would be an example of something we could use this for.
So did you use it for the closure of I-5 going north the other day with the landslide?
I honestly don't know. I was not working the other day when that happened. And to clarify too, I no longer work the floor, so I'm not always up to date on what's happened, like out on the floor. That would have probably, had it been used, might have been something that State Patrol sent out. But that, again, is an example of something that we could use the system for. But we want to make sure that we're using it for things that are a life or public health alert, safety alert. And while backup traffic is not fun, it really, if it's going to impact, though, for example, emergency responses, then that could be something we could do that with. Yes, ma'am.
Can you speak to the fact that as a county, all the communications people work together on tabletop drills and how to communicate the crises out? I know
I think you should.
No.
We've done some of these. We do. We have a lot of cooperation between all the agencies. I mean, I know Dean and a lot of the other people here too through my work with 911, and I've been involved a lot with emergency planning. And so I, hit the meetings every year for the dam notifications in case one of the dams were to fail. So we do have a lot of interagency cooperation, and we do pair up and go through drills, tabletops, like you say. Some are a little bit more of a live event type drill to try to get better at what we're doing, to make sure that when a real event happens that we will be ready for it. And I'll tell you right now, if we have the massive earthquake that they keep saying that we are overdue to get, you need to be able to take care of yourselves, because the infrastructure will be largely not there. A lot of what we do is web-based, and it's based on how we can get to the internet and things like that. We will still operate. We're on a generator. We'll be able to operate certain things, but anything like that, if it's a massive quake, is going to do major damage to the whole infrastructure in the county. So we really promote also people getting involved with the CERT teams, which are the Community Emergency Response Teams. And DEM is always offering classes on those to get people involved. If anybody's interested about those, I suggest you check out DEM, because they're always offering those classes. But people need to be prepared. It's like, you're told, have a 3-day supply of water and food. Probably need to have about a 3-week supply, honestly. If something really bad happens, it's gonna impact us greatly, so. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Can you leave us with a story of your touching story or a interesting or a dangerous story that you've had at your time as a 911? You must have something.
One that I can repeat. I've had so many calls over the years, but honestly, and not because I'm callous, but we do have a very dark sense of humor in my life. But honestly, one of the strangest ones I ever had, and this was actually when I was still at the sheriff's office, I received a call one night from a lady in Lyman. And she said, I swear to God, I'm not drunk. I'm a bartender. I just got off work. I came home, but there's something big and red, and it's glowing in the sky. And she was dead serious. Sorry. And so I'm asking her, okay, well, can you tell what it is? No, it's this. I don't know. So I was asking questions, and I put a call in, and then I dispatched my deputies. I called it suspicious circumstances, and I put it out on the air, and then the fun started. I had somebody that came up with space, the final frontier. Somebody, one of the Burlington officers said, okay, I've gone to the highest point in Burlington, Hopper Interchange, and I don't see anything. Somebody else was doing, and honestly, I don't know why that one sticks in my memory. I mean, but that was 30 years ago, and I still can remember it. The other ones, the touching ones, the touching ones really are more about the people that I work with. I was working the day that our deputy was killed. I should probably stop there. But, there's a lot of things that impact all of us, and I'm sure everybody else here that's involved with emergency services or the healthcare or anything like that can tell you that those things all impact you and leave you with some not great memories, but also some wonderful memories. And I've had the privilege of working with some wonderful people. And I'm still working with a lot of them. So, is that it?
Well, thank you, Faye.
Thank you.
We've got one more world famous Sedro Woolley Rotary pins that you can use to sign the
You know what?
papers you have.
I think I have another one, and I think it ran out of ink, and I couldn't find
Well,
it.
there you go. Perfect timing. And I understand your dark sense of humor. I've got a brother who's a paramedic.
Yes.
A brother that's a cop. And
Oh, yeah.
Thanksgiving dinners are interesting.
Oh, yeah, they were always interesting to darkness, too.
Well, thanks again, Faye.
Thank you.
Okay, just a couple of reminders. Saturday, this coming Saturday the 8th, fireside at Nick Van Jarsfeld's house. Please let him know if you can come. Next Tuesday over at the bowling alley at 6 o'clock, we're having Rotary bowling. On the 18th, board meeting at 5:30. And finally, leave your tables up. Oh, finally, most important, if you have not voted, please vote yes by February 11th and get it in the mail. We need every vote. So with that, if there's nothing else, we're out of here.